Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to the Puck and Stuff podcast. I am your host, B-Dog. Beside me, as always, T-Dog.
The Panthers have won the Stanley Cup.
Yes, thank the Lord.
Utah, holy moly. Poor Arizona fans. They did need Lindholm. I'm glad I'm not paying that contract.
This core hasn't worked. You haven't gone anywhere.
Boom, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Puck and Stuff podcast. It's time. Stanley Cup Finals 2024. Wait a minute. No. 2025. Same teams, just another year. Wow. Let me just say, fantastic playoffs. Apologies for not reviewing the third round. We'll kind of get into that, but Stanley Cup Finals is here. B-Dog, how are you feeling on this fine day? How are you feeling? Stanley Cup Finals, back in 2 days.
Oh, hell yeah, I love to hear it, and it's honestly awesome to be back. Apologies for missing round 3. T-Dog and I were busy with things outside of life. You know how it is. Adulting kind of sucks, but you know what? You just got to get used to it and grow with the times. But obviously, apparently, we did not grow out of 2024, because if you're a Flames fan right now, you're kind of suffering a little bit, because in the last 2 years, you have had the Oilers make back-to-back finals. And in the other corner, you have the Florida Panthers, where you traded our superstar Matthew Tkachuk to the Florida Panthers. It sucks to be a Flames fan right now. This really hurts. I'm not going to lie. The more I talk about it, the more I realize, wow, I got to deal with this crap for another finals, where I hope to God either the Oilers don't be the first team in Canada to win a cup since 93, or I just deal with Tkachuk adding another cup to his resume, and then all of us Flames fans being like, wow, it was a bad idea to trade Tkachuk. 3 straight finals appearances for him, but you know what? Here we are. We're going to review it. We're going to go through the pain. We're going to go through the agony as Flames fans, but also as hockey fans, we're just happy we're talking about the Stanley Cup Finals now. T-Dog, I'm going to give it off to you. I don't know exactly how you want to start this, but you know what? I think you got a plan. You got a plan up your sleeve. I could tell by that jersey.
Well, how is Huberdeau feeling? You know, I think that's the most important question. This poor guy.
Guy.
Maybe he'll come out even stronger. I thought he had a pretty good season. You know what? I'd rated a solid B. So, hey, maybe we'll get an A next season after seeing this. Might as well start with Florida here. Where to begin? You win the cup. You know, Tkachuk's injured for most of the season, and a few additions and a few people no longer on the team. I think Seth Jones is a big addition, Marchand at the deadline. People like Nosek and A.J. Greer as well. So some of that. Now, that's the thing. Do we say they're a better team from last year or not? Because, look, both of these teams are similar in the sense took a step back in the regular season, but once it came to the playoffs, you know, this is where they shine. And Florida didn't have a trouble. I thought the Lightning were going to make the finals. I just, for some reason, thought they were going to go on a hot streak, beat the right, same thing, beat the champs, and just kind of go on a hot streak. I thought, you know what, but they played better defensively. Florida did. You know, I don't know what Vasilevsky was doing there. Bobrovsky was the better goalie, all of this stuff, and they 5-game him, right? Then they go to Toronto, which, by the way, their hardest victory was against Toronto so far. And so you have to give Toronto credit for that. But, you know, Toronto just, again, the pressure gets on them, and they just choke. So we'll see what Treliving does. Probably trades away a player who wins a cup again. You know, he likes to do that.
Yeah.
So we'll see on that. And then Carolina, which I thought Carolina was going to, you know, put up a fight, and well, that was a fight between a bulldog and a little chihuahua. So didn't really do anything. And so now we're here. And hey, I mean, it's well deserved. This Florida team is fantastic from the top down. I'm really impressed with them, how they can go down in the game and they're not phased at all. Like they're absolute competitors. They don't get phased. So I wonder if Edmonton's to win a cup here, is that how you do it? can you get them to can you get under their skin? I don't know how you do it, but if you can, maybe there's a factor there.
You kind of took the words right out of my mouth to start this, if I'm being honest, because honestly, I thought the team that you versed in the first round was going to beat you. I thought you guys were going to have Stanley Cup hangover because, well, you just won the cup. You deserve that whole summer of being drunk and partying with the cup, right? It makes a lot of sense. So, like you said, Kachuk was injured for most of the season, and now he's come into the playoffs, and he's slower. You can tell a lot of the team is a little bit more battered and bruised. The addition of Seth Jones has turned out really well. Same with the addition of Brad Marchand, which that definitely came in clutch in the second round against Toronto because he's the Toronto Maple Leafs killer as we know him at best. But yeah, Battle of Florida was not hard for Florida. They 5-game. You can make a case that you're right. Their hardest opponent was Toronto, but it's kind of hard to say that at the same time because they won 6-1 in Game 5. Toronto won 2-0 in Game 6 to force the Game 7, but then they literally just teased the living crap out of the fans and got kicked out of their own building basically 6-1 in Game 7. So it looked ugly. And like you said, Frederick Anderson with Carolina looked very strong in round 2. Like looked really strong where it looked like they have a chance to get one win in the conference finals for the first time, which they did. Good for you. You won one game in the conference final since 2006. But then Florida just dominated you for the rest of the series, and now here we are back in the finals again, and Calgary hasn't even selected that first round pick that they got from Florida. They do that this year. So
that's right. It's going to be a nice, probably a nifty 31st or 32nd. So
great. Love that. Great. Love that.
Maybe there's someone in the late round.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the thing to take away from all of this is just the idea of having a head coach like Paul Maurice right now. He was very underrated when he was head coach of the Jets, and he was so upset that he had to leave the Jets. But I don't think he's really complaining with a team like Florida, because when you look at the top 6 of Florida, when you look at the top 4 defensive pairs of Florida, you look at the goalie in the net for Florida, there's a winning championship team here on almost every level of this team, including even the head coach, and he's proven it. I can't think of a head coach that went into a job for the first 2 seasons and has performed this well as a coach for his team. And the record shows, the cup ring shows. So honestly, good job for Florida to get here. It pisses me off more and more that Kachuk is on this team instead of ours. But you know what? Your GM made a smart trade. Ours made a dumb trade. We can't control that. And here you go, Florida. You're in the Stanley Cup Finals, representing the East once again.
This team is freaking good. And there's a reason why they've made it 3 years in a row. And look, we'll have to see how this whole series goes. They deserve it, like it or hate it, whatever. You know what? Like, we had to go through this with Chicago a decade ago. Now we're doing it with Florida. This is the nice thing about sport. Let's be real here. The parity of the NHL is nice. Yes, some teams will get a little pat on that back, especially when a Colin Campbell's, helped running that organization, and a Gary Bettman likes your team a lot. But it's nice to have some parity because, look, you had the Blackhawks dynasty, then you had the Penguins.
Well, okay, technically Penguins started earlier first, and then it kind of it jumps. Same with LA and that.
It does, right? And then you sprinkle in a couple of one-offs, right? St. Louis, awesome, great story. Washington, Ovi, great story, right? And then whatever Tampa's little run was, I don't know. Do you count that? Do you count asterisks everywhere? No, you should.
I mean, I guess you technically could because they were the most dominant team by the late 2010s because they Cup Final 2015, multiple playoff runs throughout there, won the Cup in 2020, then 2021.
Yeah, and then lost in 22, but still, you win 3 times in a row.
4 finals appearances in the span of almost a decade. So that's still really impressive.
So Lord Stanley could be so Florida teams have been fighting for Lord Stanley for 6 years in a row. and so there's lots of that. But like, look,
Ugh.
hey, man, it's good management too. Zito, and then before him, I think it was Dale Talon. These are great managers. Like, think about how many times in a Canadian team we complain about the team and the way it's managed because of simple boys club activity and just lack of care. Like the ownership in some of these, you can tell the ownership groups in some of these markets, they care about their teams.
Yes.
Not Dallas, but hey, Robertson on the trade block, Nico Harrison. I don't know how you got into hockey, but hey, I mean, hey, I don't know what's
No.
going on here, but so I think good for them, and but just enjoy it because look, there's going to be another dynasty soon, and it's probably going to be who's getting McKenna? Pittsburgh probably, right? Because Crosby. No, well, could be. Well, Ovi retires next season, so maybe it's Washington. Maybe they get him. I don't know.
Did you imagine? My God.
Come on. It's gonna go to some crazy team that they lose their superstar and then.
I wish.
I know, but the problem is this team isn't gonna try and lose, man. It's not possible. Wolf's too good to. I bet you Wolf could try and tank, and the dude would still have an above 890 save percentage.
He could get injured. He could get a season-ending injury.
Don't. You just put that out there. Okay, well, yeah, and we're getting a top 5 pick. Sweet. That's a good job for it. It's a good job for it.
At the deadline, get another pick. Who else is old on this team?
Anderson's probably gone. Yeah.
Okay, we're going off topic. Wrong team. Wrong episode. Okay. Wrong episode.
We're like sports with the Leafs, man. How many minutes until 12 minutes. It took us 12 minutes to talk about the Flint. Well, we talked about them before, so.
We mentioned we didn't go full conversation. So, 12-minute mark.
Pretty much.
God.
Okay, that's what I got to say about Florida and whatever else. Let's talk about Edmonton. Okay, let's be real. Like, you got to give Edmonton props, Flames fan or not. Dude, come on. This season, you can tell they were hurt and tired from a cup run hangover. The season, the additions, you're like, what are these additions? You lose a bunch of players, too, to offer sheeting with Broberg and Holloway, and then you lose Cody Ceci. And then
that's not really a loss.
and then Warren Fogle, right? You lost depth scoring. How do you get that? And now I think that was always the biggest thing. And then of course goaltending. But look, you get Kane back in the playoffs. You get Alcon back now, right? And then you will even before that trade deadline. Wallman, Frederick. So you get into playoffs, and then the first 2 games terrible. Like, I watched those first 2 games, I'm like, yep, nope, it's next season, right? The fact they were even going for, Mikko Rantanen potentially, I'm like, this is a next year thing they're looking at. Nope. After that, and then Jim Hiller's crazy coaching challenge, and Quentin Byfield's failure to get the puck out of the zone there, suddenly, boom, they get 6 gamed, and then they move on to Vegas, which I thought, okay, defensively minded teams battling each other, probably going to 7, goes to 5 games instead. That was not a Vegas team I'm used to seeing. I mean, what the heck, man? Injuries or something. I mean, Hill was just average. There was no Hill from 23. And then you go to Dallas, and I'm thinking, man, you know what? Again, close series. Everything can definitely play with these guys the way they've been playing. But how does this figure when Rantanen's been on fire and I think the defenses look much better? Skinner has outplayed Ottinger too. Skinner has outplayed the guy who's going to start for Team USA in the Olympics, right? So there's that. And then Rantanen was kind of quiet. Jamie Benn about a year. And then Sagan he was quiet. Duchesne was quiet. RoboCop was good. Keep Roberts. I don't know why you would want to trade him. I get it.
You hear something crazy, actually? 2 years in a row, Skinner has outplayed Ottinger in the Western Conference Finals. Because last year they played in the Western Conference Finals and Edmonton won in 6.
No, that's right.
That is right.
Hence DeBoer.
Crazy to think.
I think that's why DeBoer went crazy in the in that game 5 and then in the post game was he's lost so many conference finals that I think the dude he just lost his composure. I don't know.
Rob the bod too. He's lost.
I'll be honest though. I don't really think he was really blaming Ottinger. He's kind of just pointing out a factual statement.
True.
You've lost these many games to this team. And although it sounds like, I don't think he was actually trying to put him under the bus. I think he was just
Well,
You
heck, there
know,
was another quote from him
yeah.
that literally said, "There's no one else that loves Ottinger more than me." So, like, it's kind of hard to say that. Like, it's kind of hard. It's such a
He's like,
weird conversation because if you look at both of the goaltenders and just performance stats, whatever you want to look at, it would instantly put Ottinger ahead of Skinner. But no, no, obviously not, because in the last 2 years they've versed each other in the conference finals. I also want to add something else after this.
yeah.
Skinner's been the dominant top goalie that has led his team to the finals. And also, did you know if we had a conference playoff format, did you know Dallas versus Edmonton would be a first round matchup? Thanks,
That'd be
Edmonton.
pretty sick. That'd be pretty
Thanks.
sick. Look, like I still think 1-8. I think when I look back in my brain, the best series have been from a 1-8 seed.
Yes.
But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Edmonton is a wagon right now, as much as Florida, and I still think that they're very similar right now in how they've played recently. Both teams, Edmonton can go down, even though they haven't gone down in this series for a little bit, but they can come back with no not being phased. Right? You see how Draisaitl and McDavid looked at each other after that game one loss, and it just changed after that. 4 straight wins.
Yeah.
They've barely lost any games in this playoffs, and they're getting not just scoring from the big boys, they're getting scoring from everyone. I think there's 5 players on that team right now that has more than 3 goals, Kasperi Kapanen being one of them. And so you're getting the step scoring. I was worried when Hyman got injured. I'm like, what's going to happen? Jeff Skinner comes in and scores a goal and an assist. Right?
Yeah.
They're getting because it's same with Florida. Everyone on this team, no one's a passenger. Everyone has a role to play. And like these teams are dialed in. And so what that makes me believe is that when we get this finals, it's gonna be pretty competitive and pretty even, because I think these teams are not as different as people might think. And we'll see. I could be wrong, but look, like both these teams honestly deserved it the way they played in the playoffs. It's just like, I don't know how you don't say that, because I mean, you beat the Stars in 5, beat Vegas in 5, and like Florida just made every team look like they should have been going for the draft pick instead of the playoffs, right? Like both these teams just kind of stomped everyone.
I think there was a lot of tension from last finals, and that kind of gave them the moral just to get back there. This isn't over. We need a round 2. But you know what? As a Flames fan, this hurts. All of this really hurts because you don't want Florida in, you hate Edmonton, but at the same time, you got to be kind of impressed. Like a little part of me, just the little part of me is kind of impressed by Edmonton because you have McDavid, you have Draisaitl, and then if you look on this team on paper, it shouldn't work. They have right now they have Hopkins, McDavid, and Corey Perry as a first line, Kane, Draisaitl, and Kapanen as a second line. Like, yeah, Mark. Oh my god! Like, I don't understand it. I don't, because like when you look at the Oilers' first run in the first round, they lost Allmark just before playoffs start, and Oilers fans were hurting because like that's your defensive defenseman on that team. You like. It's going to be a struggle defensively if he isn't there. And you kind of noticed it with Evan Bouchard being the assist guy for the other team in the first round. And you noticed that with Nurse taking off heads and getting dumb penalties. And you also noticed it when Skinner did not play well in the first 2 games of the first round. They had to rely on Calvin Pickard to get out of that round. When's the last time you've heard Calvin Pickard's name? 2013 Colorado.
Well, last year, but yeah, I get your point. Like Pickard has been fighting his entire career to make a team, and he's got himself a great spot in the back. But dude, you're right. I haven't even talked about the defense. Like Troy Stetcher, their 7th D, has been playing and eating up minutes. Like the dude should be a consistent bottom 4 guy on the pairings. Like it's just everyone's contributing. Exactly. Every single person. It's impressive.
Yeah,
you don't get that a lot.
That's my point. Where from what this team should be on paper to what it actually has been, it's impressive. It is very impressive that Corey Perry's still able to do what he's done in the final and playoffs and push himself to be able to get to the finals just to watch them lose at the end. Like, just the instant curse. And it's even worse that they had a Jeff Skinner to add this curse. Maybe two negatives make a positive? I don't know how this works. I'm not going to get into this. I'm not going to get into that or jinx anything, knock on wood. But, it's just impressive because, like, from a Flames fan point of view, we've seen our team stack up on the top 6, have a good goaltender, have good freaking D, and we lose to a team like Edmonton, right? So it's impressive. It hurts a little, but I don't know. I don't know really where I'm going anymore with this because I'm frustrated. I'm a little frustrated.
Let's look at both these teams.
Okay.
Two coaches that the players love, and both have captains the players, they follow. Like, they're okay with them leading. Yes. So what is this? Is this leadership group? Is this the coach? Like, what is causing this so that every guy is locked the heck in and just contributing?
Like, I think it's the leadership in the dressing rooms. Look who the leaders are in each dressing room. You look at McDavid in Edmonton. You look at Barkov, Tkachuk in Florida. And it's a completely different room when you know those two are leading. And you could tell because they've made it back-to-back cups. That tells the whole story.
I think we just got to go right into it because we've kind of talked about the preamble, I guess, until this. Who's winning this, man? Who's winning this cup this year in 2025?
Oh. Okay, so one thing I do want to add before anything else. Edmonton has home ice advantage this time.
Thanks for reminding me.
That does play a little bit of a factor because if you remember last time, they were down 3-1 in the series, forced to Game 7, and was 1 goal away from a Stanley Cup. And that was in Florida Game 7. So, my prediction for the 2025 Stanley Cup Finals is Florida in 6. I think, personally, Florida on paper looks way heavier, tops 9-wise, defensive-wise they've worked. The only thing I can't see is Bobrovsky stopping now. I don't see the brick wall stopping. Like, he'll stop anything in his way, and if they have the same idea of shutting down McDavid and Draisaitl like they did last year, and hopefully not blowing a 3-1 lead, but still winning, I think it's Florida in 6. If it does go to Game 7, I'm saying it's Edmonton.
That's actually, I like that. Yeah. What I gotta say to this? Barkov, Schmarkov, Tkachuk, good luck. Panthers in 7. Okay, so my best Shannon Sharp impression there. Let's not get sued. So, storyline, right? Edmonton winning because back-to-back and all of that, and I want to, but something's telling me Florida, and I think how important is losing Hyman?
Oh, that hurts.
I don't know how
that hurts.
I don't know if that's the factor, but I think it's a big impact. I do wonder if maybe because Skinner is a type of goalie to struggle at first and then really succeed after, and I feel like the finals is a different sort of level from just this rest of the playoffs, and so I wonder if maybe he struggles the first couple of games and then comes back and gets it. I almost wonder if it's split where Edmonton wins 1 game at home, Florida wins 1, so it's 1-1, and then maybe Florida wins 2 in Florida, and then it ties it up. I think it's going to be very close, and I think 7 is just because, I think this Florida team, I'll be honest, look, as a Flames fan, I'll be honest, man, I kind of want Edmonton to win because McDavid wants his cup. McDavid needs his cup. That's seriously it, because once it gets his cup, it's done. We don't need to worry about it anymore, and we could just move on and just figure out other teams that we can want.
No. You know what's going to happen? So if McDavid doesn't win his cup, that intrigues, that tells him, oh, I can't win here. I got to leave here. Send him east to Toronto.
New York, man. This one guy's been saying,
New York, go the fuck else, man. Go anywhere other than Edmonton. That's the only reason.
Look at LA or something. I don't know. All I know is, dude, I don't even know how to honestly pick. It's hard for me to decide. I'm saying the same Panthers in the 7 because just watching, to me, if Edmonton has big mess ups, they're gonna have a harder time recouping against Florida than if Florida has a couple of big mistakes. Does that make sense? Hold on. So
Yeah.
like if there's so let's just say there's a game where one of these teams stinks to bed and it's like a disgusting 8-2 loss, like they just got destroyed. I think Florida has a better chance and a more probability of coming back from that than Edmonton would, although Edmonton still could. So maybe that's why I say Florida in 7. I think the series is going to be is too tight. I really think these teams are this close to each other. I really think so. Because, I mean, just the way that both goals have been playing, the way that the forwards have been able to get that offensive pressure and, and actually, succeed on that, and then the defense. Sure. I really don't see a lot of struggle or loose ends on both these teams. And I feel like right now it'd be Edmonton just because once you start getting injured players like Connor Brown's out and Hyman, that's worse than losing Lusterinen, So sure. The depth chart, although the depth has been working, it's a lot to think. I'm just gonna say Florida in 7. If I don't know. I keep doubting Edmonton and they keep winning. So let's see what happens. Honestly,
I get it. I understand that with Edmonton because just like everything about Edmonton doesn't make sense other than the fact that they got McDavid and Draisaitl. And the reason I put Florida in 6 is compared to the Florida team I saw last year, this team is a lot more top heavy because when Brad Marchand's on your third line, that's telling you a lot. Yeah. Like a lot. So I think personally this Florida team is a little bit more top heavy in the forwards. And also, instead of Brandon Montour from last year, you get Seth Jones. So I think the top 4 defense is a little more bulk, like a little bit bigger and bulkier, basically. And then you still have the brick wall in net that's just a year older and hope to God he eats something. He keeps losing 20 pounds after every game, and you're concerned he might become anorexic by the end of the finals.
Dude, he at those photos, I'm like, does this dude do long distance track? Like this guy
looks like he's smoking cigarettes and eating apples after pregame.
No wonder he's so good. Like all the good goalies smoke cigarettes. Kaprizov did.
Yep.
Dion Phaneuf. Wait, he's not a goalie.
That's not good.
Wait a minute. No. Didn't who? There's another goal that needs to smoke ciggies in the locker room. There's a couple.
God. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like Dominic Hasek.
Oh, probably.
What was the Russian goalie? It's like it's only game.
He's only game. Why you have to be mad?
Or that's a smoker. No, but going kind of off topic a little bit. I like this Florida team more this year. I think it looks bigger, stronger, and better than the team that was before. And the only way, like this is why I said Edmonton in 7, is if Florida's like up in the series 3-2 going to game 6 in Florida, if Edmonton can manage to win that game, they come in to game 7 in Edmonton with momentum. That's the only way I can really see, and that's why I said game 7 goes to Edmonton.
I want to say, and this is why I say Florida 7, it'd be hard to lose in game 7 for Edmonton, but like look at Vancouver in 2011.
Right? Like, good point.
To be honest, a lot of some of my choice too does rely on the fact it's a Canadian team. Corey Perry curse. I don't believe in curses personally, but like I think, I don't know. It's hard to not bet on Florida. Like it or not, they're
so good, man.
It's like DeBoer, Brindamore said they're the standard now. We'll see what happens. Let's enjoy this though. This is going to be a fantastic Stanley Cup Finals. I'm excited to watch every single game. I can't wait to just do nothing and procrastinate every other responsibility to watch this because, dude, this is going to be a fantastic series. What do you guys think? Who's winning this year? Comment down below. Florida or Edmonton? It's a rematch, and hey, with the rematch, you gotta watch it. You gotta see it.
Why not?
T-Dog, take it away. Finish us off, brother.
Well, like T-Dog said, thank you so much for watching the episode. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. Our channels have been doing well. We're almost at 1,000 on YouTube. So if you are a fan of this kind of content, hit that subscribe button. Why not, right? And yeah. that is the end of another NHL season, and we'll see you in the Stanley Cup recap. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.